You're standing in an optician. The lighting is soft, flattering, the way it always is in these places. The frames sit on the shelves like little pieces of jewelry, spaced out, spotlit. You pick up a pair. They feel solid. Cool metal, clean lenses. You turn them over, and you find the price. $249. You wince. But then you tell yourself the thing everyone tells themselves. Well, they're a good brand. That's just what glasses cost. You've believed that your whole life. Your parents believed it. You never once questioned it. Here's the truth. That pair of glasses cost around $5 to make. Frames, lenses, hinges, all of it. $5, sold to you for $249. That's not a markup. That's about 50 times. And it is not an accident, and it is not just one greedy shop. It's one company. One company you've probably never heard of that quietly owns almost every brand on that wall and the shop you're standing in and even the eye exam that sent you there. This is how one man built the most invisible monopoly on earth. On your face. Because the trick here isn't the price tag. The trick is that you think you have a choice. You look at that wall and you see 10 different brands competing for your money. Ray-Ban, Oakley, Persol, Oliver Peoples, a dozen designer names. Different logos, different prices, different stories. And nearly all of them are the same company, making the same product, in the same factories, setting the same prices. Stick with me. Because once you see how this machine was built, you will never look at a pair of glasses the same way again. Let's start with the man who built it. His name was Leonardo Del Vecchio, and he did not come from money. He was born in Milan in 1935. His father died before he was born. His mother was too poor to feed him, so at 7 years old he was placed in an orphanage. He grew up making things with his hands, and as a young man he took a job in a factory that made parts for eyeglasses, the tiny metal pieces, the frames, the components nobody thinks about. And Del Vecchio noticed something the whole industry had missed. Eyewear was fractured. One company made the frames. Another made the lenses. A distributor moved them. A separate shop sold them. Every step added a markup, and no single company controlled the chain. So in 1961, in a small town in the Italian Alps, he started his own workshop. He called it Luxottica. At first, he just made components for other brands. Then he started making complete frames. Then, he did the thing that would change everything. He decided he would not just make the glasses, he would own every step between the factory and your face. Watch how this snowballs, because this is where it stops being a business and becomes a monopoly. First, distribution. Instead of selling through middlemen, Luxottica built its own network to put its frames in stores worldwide. Then came the masterstroke. In 1999, Luxottica bought Ray-Ban. At the time, Ray-Ban was struggling. You could find a pair in a gas station for $29. Del Vecchio bought the icon, pulled it off the cheap shelves, raised the price, wrapped it in prestige, and turned a fading brand into a status symbol you'd pay 10 times more for. Same sunglasses. New price tag. That is the entire playbook, right there. Then he came for the rest. Oakley resisted him, so Luxottica squeezed its access to the stores until the pressure forced a sale, and in 2007, Oakley became his too. Then the designer houses. Chanel, Prada, Armani, Versace, Dolce & Gabbana. When you buy their glasses, you are very often buying Luxottica, just wearing someone else's name. But frames were only half of it. Del Vecchio wanted the shops. So Luxottica bought LensCrafters. It bought Pearle Vision. It bought Sunglass Hut, over 3,000 stores where you thought you were choosing between brands, all owned by the same man. He now made the glasses and sold them to you. There was still one piece missing. The lenses themselves. And in 2018, Luxottica merged with Essilor, the largest lens maker on the planet, in a deal worth around $50 billion. Think about what that meant. One company now controlled the frame, the lens, the brand, the store you bought them in, and, through a vision insurance arm, even part of how you paid for them. Every single link in the chain, from raw plastic to the receipt in your hand, owned by one empire. When you control every step, you don't compete on price. You set it. That is why glasses cost what they cost. Not because they're expensive to make, because one company decided they should be. So let's go back to that wall of frames, because now you can see it for what it is. Those 10 competing brands, same owner. That designer pair for $400 and the mid-range pair for $150? Often the same factory, the same materials, the same workers, the difference is the logo stamped on the arm. And the story you've been sold about it. Independent breakdowns have put the actual cost of a premium pair at somewhere between $10 and $15. You are not paying for glass and metal. You are paying for a name, and for a monopoly that made sure there was nowhere cheaper to go. For decades, that was the end of the story. The machine was complete. It looked permanent, untouchable, and it would have stayed that way if it weren't for a city on the other side of the world. In eastern China, there's a city called Danyang. You've never heard of it, but it quietly became the eyewear capital of the world, a place that produces a staggering share of all the lenses on the planet. The same lenses, the same machines, the same standards the big brands quietly rely on. And a few years ago, something shifted. Young, factory-trained people in places like Danyang realized they didn't need the monopoly's stores. The internet let them sell straight to you. Companies appeared selling complete prescription glasses online for $15, $20, a tenth of what you'd pay in the shop. The industry's answer was predictable. Cheap glasses, poor quality, you get what you pay for. Except independent testing kept showing the opposite, that many of these budget lenses met the same optical standards as the expensive ones. Because, of course they did. They came off the same kind of line. And then, it wasn't just anonymous factories. A pair of founders in the United States lost a pair of glasses that had cost them hundreds of dollars, and asked the obvious question, why does replacing them cost more than a phone? They built a rival that sold glasses directly for around $95, cut out the monopoly's markup entirely, and grew from a website into hundreds of physical stores of its own. A company that exists only because the price was a lie, and enough people finally noticed. The scarcity was always artificial. The prestige was always a story. And once people could see the $5 reality behind the $200 price, the spell started to break. Now, let's be honest about the size of the crack. The empire is still standing. It is still one of the most powerful companies in its industry, still owns the brands you know, still fills the shelves at the mall. The Orphan from Milan built a machine so complete that it will not fall overnight. But for the first time in decades, you have something you never had before. A choice that's actually a choice. The next time you're in that shop, holding a $200 frame, telling yourself that's just what glasses cost, remember that you're not looking at the price of glasses. You're looking at the price of a monopoly. And you no longer have to pay it. A pair of glasses costs about $5 to make. One man turned that into a 50 times markup and an empire that put its name on your face without you ever knowing. Now you know. So the real question is the one you get to answer the next time you check out. Are you paying for the glasses or for the logo? If this changed how you see that wall of frames, subscribe. Because there's a hidden monopoly behind almost everything you buy. And we pull them apart one by one. I'll see you in the next one.